I poisoned my sister's coffee that morning, not with arsenic, but with the slow drip of truth she'd buried for a decade. She choked on it during our family brunch, her eyes bulging not from toxins but from the raw exposure of her lies. The ones that had cost me my freedom and nearly my soul. And as the room fell silent, forks clattering like judgments from on high, I leaned back in my chair, the scent of my rising dough from the kitchen wafting in like an omen, and whispered, "Welcome to the bake-off of our lives. Cease. May the best betrayer win." It started in the damp underbelly of Seattle, where the fog rolls off Puget Sound like forgotten regrets, and family ties are as sticky as overproof dough. My name's Serenity Hayes, but back then, everyone called me the dreamer, the flaky one, the girl with her head in the clouds and her hands in the flour. Twins run in our bloodline, a double helix of shared DNA and divided loyalties. My sister, Echo, was the sharp one, the go-getter with the MBA from UW, and the killer smile that could charm venture capitalists out of their seed money.
Me?
I was the artist, the one who could turn a lump of yeast and water into a loaf that whispered secrets of comfort and home. Our parents, God rest their judgmental souls, ran a chain of mid-tier coffee shops across the Pacific Northwest. Nothing fancy, just overpriced lattes and muffins that tasted like regret. They saw Echo as the heir apparent, the one who'd scale the empire. I was the side project, the hobbyist who'd amount to zilch. We grew up in a cramped Victorian in Capitol Hill, the kind with creaky floors and wallpaper peeling like old skin. Summers meant slinging espresso to tourists. Winters meant huddling over recipe books in the back room, dreaming of something more. Mine was always the bakery, a place where the air hummed with the tang of levain and the sweet promise of redemption. Echo mocked it relentlessly. "Serenity. Honey," she'd say, flipping her auburn hair, same as mine. But hers always looked salon fresh. Who wants to eat your hipster bread when they can grab a frappuccino on the go? Get real. Our folks chuckled along. Dad with his pipe smoke and Mom with her perpetual migraine from crunching numbers. By 22, Echo had launched her first cafe, Echo's Brew, a sleek spot in Fremont with reclaimed wood counters and Instagram-worthy avocado toast. I clapped at the opening, genuinely thrilled, even as she borrowed my scone recipe without a nod. But betrayal doesn't announce itself with fanfare. It seeps in like humidity, warping a wooden board. It was 2015, the year craft beer and farm-to-table were gods. And Echo's Brew was exploding. Investors circling like gulls over scraps. That's when she came to me, late one night, rain hammering the roof like accusations. "Sare, I need your help," she sobbed, mascara rivers down her cheeks. "The books are a mess. Dad's old accountant cooked them, offshore stuff, tax evasion. If it comes out, we're done." I should have walked. But blood's thicker than batter, right? She swore it was a one-time fix, fudge a few invoices, blame it on a ghost vendor. "For the family," she pleaded. "For your bakery dream. I'll fund it once this blows over." Stupid. So stupid. I was the one who logged in that night, my fingers trembling over the keyboard in her dimly lit office, the screen's glow casting shadows like sins. We rerouted funds, inflated costs, petty cash sleight of hand that ballooned into felony territory. Echo coached me every step, her voice a velvet whip. "Click there. Cease. You're saving us." By dawn, the deed was done, and I crashed on her couch, waking to the smell of her victory latte. She hugged me tight. "You're a lifesaver." My rock. 6 months later, the IRS knocked. Not on her door, mine. Echo had routed the digital trail through my old college email, the one tied to my failed catering gig. A glitch, she claimed in court, all wide-eyed innocence. Serenity handled the books as a favor. She's always been impulsive. Our parents backed her. Of course, Dad testified about my creative accounting experiments in high school. Mom wept about how I'd strayed. The evidence was ironclad. My IP. My signatures. My dumb trust. I got 5 years in a federal pen upstate, white-collar wing. But still, steel bars and regret for breakfast. Prison was a slow bake. Time stretching like taffy. I learned to knead dough in the commissary, turning contraband flour into flatbreads that traded for smokes and stories. Letters from Echo arrived like clockwork at first. Miss you. Cease. Holding down the fort. Your recipes are killing it here. Then they tapered birthdays only. Then nothing. Paroled after 3. I emerged into a Seattle that had gentrified without me. Fremont streets lined with pop-ups and my sister's empire now 3 locations strong. Echo's Brew had gone corporate. Franchised. With my stolen pastries rebranded as Echo's Signature Bites. She was on Forbes 30 Under 30. Engaged to a tech bro from Bellevue. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Revenge isn't a sprint, it's a proofing period, letting the flavors deepen in the dark. I crashed with an old cellmate's cousin in Ballard, waitressed at a dive bar smelling of stale hops, and saved every dime for my own start. The bakery idea had fermented in my skull, rise and ruin, a nod to both bread and the wreckage she'd left. I scouted a hole-in-the-wall spot on Aurora Avenue, the kind of gritty stretch where hookers and hipsters coexist uneasily. Lease signed with a handshake and a prayer. Opening day. I baked alone, arms aching from the mixer. The oven's heat a balm on my scars. Words spread slow.
Organic, likeså då starter.
A food blogger bit first. Rise and Ruin's Levine is soul food for the damned. Lines formed. Techies from Amazon's campus wandered in for my black sesame babka. Junkies nursed coffee in the corner booth. Echo noticed. Her first surprise visit was 6 months in. All smiles and a bottle of Veuve Cliquot.
Ser.
This place is
Quaint.
We should collab, your loaves in my shops. I poured her a pour-over. Black as pitch. Quaint? That's code for not franchisable. Pass. She laughed it off, but her eyes scanned the register tape. That's when the sabotage started. Subtle at first. Yelp reviews from burners, claiming rat droppings in the rye. Then suppliers ghosting, my flour guy suddenly out of stock indefinitely. I traced it to Echo's assistant, a weaselly kid who'd interned at her HQ. Confrontation number 2, her office. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the sound. Her desk a fortress of Lucite awards.
Echo.
Call off the dogs. Or I spill about the books. The frame job. She didn't flinch. Leaned back. Crossed her legs in those Louboutins she'd bought with my prison tears. Spill what? Exactly? You're an ex-con.
Ser.
Who'd believe you over me?
Besides.
Family helps family. I gave you this city to rebuild in. Be grateful. Grateful. The word festered like underbaked bread. I doubled down. Pop-up events at farmers markets. Collabs with local brewers. Rise and Ruin hit 6 figures by year 2. A cult hit. Echo's empire stuttered. Lawsuits from overexpansion. A viral TikTok of her baristas spilling hot coffee on a vegan influencer. She flipped then, allying with me publicly. Joint sister baker panels at food fests. Her arm linked in mine for the cameras. Blood and butter, she'd quip. Privately, she'd whisper investment offers. Equity stakes that smelled like chains. I played along, letting her in just enough to taste the power shift. But secrets are yeast, they rise. They burst. Mine cracked open one stormy November, when Dad's old files surfaced in probate after Mom's quiet cancer death. Tucked in a safety deposit box, emails, Echo's frantic pleas to me pre-heist, timestamps damning her. I held them like a loaded gun, unshared. Echo showed up at my door that night, soaked and shaking, not from rain but recognition. You found them, not a question. I nodded. Oven mitt still on from midnight batch. Burn the originals. But I kept copies. For insurance. Her mask slipped fully then, the cunning twin. The flip-flopper who'd cry victim one breath and wield the knife the next. We can fix this. Together. Like always. But her eyes darted to my thriving counter. The line out the door even at 2 a.m. For pay no chocolate. Envy curdled her plea into threat. Or, I bury you again. Deeper this time. She stormed out. But not before snatching a loaf, my signature rye. The one I'd perfected in solitary. The climax brewed over Christmas. That American holiday of forced cheer and familial knives out. Our annual Haze Feast at Echo's McMansion in Medina, Lake Views. Catered by poachers who'd jumped ship for my staff. She played hostess flawless. Twinkling lights. Spiked eggnog. Her fiancé toasting to unbreakable bonds. I brought pies. Apple cranberry with a lattice crust like barbed wire. Midway through grace, I dropped the bomb. Stood, glass in hand, and recited the email chain verbatim, her words. My fall. The lie that built her throne. The room froze, aunts gasping, uncles shifting, her tech bro paling like day-old dough. Echo didn't crumble. Oh no. She rose, furious and feral, flipping the script with a sob-story torrent. Serenity's rewriting history. She was jealous, always has been. The books? Her idea. I covered for her out of love. Gasps turned to murmurs. Forks scraping suspicion. Dad's ghost loomed in the skepticism, Mom's absence a void of judgment. Sides splintered. Half the kin rallied to her vulnerable visionary act. The other half eyed my quiet scars, wondering. It was chaos, beautiful, divisive, the kind that shatters bloodlines irreparably. Punches weren't thrown, but words were weapons, slicing deeper than any blade. In the melee, Echo cornered me by the powder room, her nails digging crescents into my arm. You think this ends you? I'll sue for defamation. Ruin your precious pit stop. I wrenched free, tasting victory sour as baker's yeast.
Try it.
The files go viral tomorrow. Your empire crumbles.
Minerisis.
Poetic. Ain't it? She lunged not to hit, but to plead. The flip again. Sis.
Please.
We're all we've got. Tears real this time. Or close enough. I walked. Left the pies to congeal. The family to fracture. Back at rise and ruin, I baked through the night, loaves upon loaves, venting fury into folds and scores. Dawn broke with headlines. Bakery twins' bitter feud. Forgery or frame-up? Pundits picked sides on local news. Reddit threads exploded in who's the real villain debates. Echo's stock dipped. Mine soared. Reservations booked months out. Merch selling like hotcakes, irony noted. The twist? It came in spring, when her fiancé bailed, citing toxic dynamics. She showed up at my door again, hollowed out, a ghost of her glossy self. You win.
Sit.
Take it all.
But in her handbag.
A flash drive, recordings of me in prison, spilling doubts about the frame to a bunkmate. Blackmail fodder she'd hoarded like dry goods. Or we both burn. The ultimate flip. Not destruction, but détente. Share the secrets, or share the fall. I took the drive, snapped it under my boot. Burn alone. Echo. I've risen enough. She left weeping, but I saw the spark, resentment rekindling. Is it over? Hell no. Revenge is a cycle. Like kneading dough. Punch down. Let rise.
Repeat.
My bakery thrives. A beacon on Aurora's edge. Drawing the broken and the bold. She watches from afar. Her cafes shuttering one by one. Family? Shattered like a drop tray. Right or wrong? You tell me. In this city of rain and reinvention, maybe the real crime was ever trusting kin at all. The fallout from that Christmas carnage lingered like the aftertaste of burnt sugar, cloying, inescapable. Seattle's rumor mill churned over time, turning our twin tale into tabloid fodder. Hayes sisters' sticky scandal, from oven mitts to handcuffs, screamed the PI, complete with paparazzi shots of me hauling flour sacks and Echo ducking into a therapist's office. Social media amplified it. Twin treachery trended, with memes of us as cartoon witches stirring cauldrons of cash and lies. I ignored it mostly, focusing on the grind, the 4 a.m. alarms, the endless proofing racks, the hires who stuck because they saw the fire in me, not the felon label. But Echo? She weaponized the noise. First move, the countersuit. Her lawyers, shark tanks from a firm that repped Big Pharma, filed for defamation, claiming my baseless accusations tanked her Q1 projections by 22%. Discovery dragged, subpoenas flying like errant spatulas. I lawyered up with a pro bono firebrand from the ACLU, a no-nonsense Latina named Rosa who'd clawed her way out of East LA foster care. This ain't about justice. Mija, she told me over takeout pho in my back room. It's about who bleeds slower. You got the scars, flaunt 'em. Court dates loomed like thunderheads, but before the gavel fell, Echo pivoted, classic her, the chameleon queen. She launched Echo's Redemption Rolls, a charity line of cinnamon buns with proceeds to wronged women entrepreneurs. Subtext?
Me.
Press tour followed, teary CNN spots where she owned her privilege, admitting family blind spots without naming names. Growth comes from grace, she'd coo. Batting lashes at Anderson Cooper. Sales spiked, her board high-fived.
Me?
I seethed in silence, channeling it into a new menu. Betrayal breads, dark rye laced with charred figs and sea salt tears. Sold out daily, with a cheeky placard, for when life's underbaked you. The real gut punch hit in March, during a brutal nor'easter that shut down I-5. Power flickered at rise and ruin. I lit candles, baked by feel. That's when the fire marshal rolled up, not for inspection, but allegation. Anonymous tip, gas line tampering, risk to patrons. Echo's handiwork. No doubt, her flip to concerned sister mode, protecting the public from my instability. Rosa shredded it in statements, smear tactics from a sibling scorned. But the probe lingered, yellow tape fluttering like a bad omen. scaring off the brunch crowd. I confronted her at a neutral ground, Pike Place Market, under the neon glow of the original Starbucks, where fishmongers hurled salmon like distractions. She was sampling chowder, poised as ever in a trench coat that screamed reformed.
The tip? Petty.
Echo. Even for you. She spooned slowly, savoring. Petty? You declared war.
Sit.
This is chess. Then the flip, eyes softening, voice cracking. I did it to force your hand. Sell out to me, merge, co-brand. We heal.
Together.
For Mom, invoking the dead like a trump card. I laughed, bitter as black coffee.
Heal?
You'd owe me again. Pass the salt. This wound's fresh. She didn't press. Just slipped me a folder, market analysis showing her creeping expansion toward Aurora. Think on it. Or watch your dream char. I torched it later in my oven, ashes mingling with failed dough. But doubt crept in. That insidious starter. Nights. I'd lie awake on my futon above the shop, listening to the hum of fridges and the distant wail of fairies. Was I the villain here? Taking the fall once was noble, twice would be masochism. Echoes please echoed my own buried ache for the twin bond we'd lost to ambition's maw. Spring thawed the stalemate with an unexpected ally, our cousin Jax, the black sheep who'd bolted to Portland after Dad cut him off for lifestyle choices.
Gay. Tattooed.
And unapologetically fierce. Jax crashed my bakery unannounced. Dreads tied back. Arms laden with microbrew crates. Heard you two are at it like Ollie Frazier. Figured you need backup. He stayed. Manning the counter with flair, drag queen story hours on Sundays. Drawing rainbow crowds that doubled my foot traffic. Echo hated him on sight. Called him the family curse in leaked voicemails that Jax's hacker buddy unearthed. With Jax, the counteroffensive baked. We leaked the fire tip audio, her assistant's voice. Slurred on whiskey. Boss says make it stick.
No traces.
Echo's redemption tour imploded. Sponsors bailed. Citing authenticity issues. She flipped to fury. Blasting me on LinkedIn. Blood betrays blood. Serenity's vendetta endangers us all. Public split wider. Feminist pods debated sister solidarity versus self-preservation. Baristas picketed her shops with signs. Brew justice. Not lies. By summer. The trial tipped my way. Rose's cross-exams eviscerated her star witness, a former accountant who'd vouched for Echo's innocence but cracked under oath, admitting payoffs. Jury deliberated 2 hours. Verdict, her claims baseless. Mine vindicated with a gag order slap on her. Damages? Minimal. But the optics scorched, headlines crowed, bakery boss bites back. Rise and ruin boomed, venture scouts sniffing, offers stacking like cordwood. Echo vanished post-trial. Radio silence for weeks. I expanded, gutting the basement for a fermentation lounge. Walls lined with jars bubbling like alchemical grudges. Jax joked it was my evil lab. But unease fermented too. One muggy July eve. As I locked up, a shadow detached from the alley. Her. Gaunt. Hair unkempt. Clutching a manila envelope like a lifeline. Truce. No tears this time. Just hollow resolve. Inside. Deeds to her flagship cafe. Signed over gratis.
Take it.
Shut me down if you must. But read this first. This was a letter from Mom. Penned in hospice haze. Yellowed pages spilling regrets. Echo's teen rebellion. Shoplifted dreams funded by skim till. My unspoken shield. covering for her since pigtails. Serenity, my quiet guardian. Echoes the storm, you're the hearth. Forgive her fire, but don't let it consume you. A secret chiseled deeper than I knew, Mom's knowledge. Her silence to preserve the fragile peace. I stared at Echo, seeing the girl who'd shared my womb, not the mogul monster. Why now? She shrugged, shoulders slumping like deflated soufflé. Lost everything. Fiancée. Bored.
Soul.
You're all that's left. Or nothing. The flip again from foe to fragile. But was it real? Or the long con? Baiting me into Mercy's trap? I kept the deed. Burned the letters copy she left. One condition, therapy.
Joint.
Or I raise it all. She nodded. Tentative alliance forged in the humid dusk. Seattle exhaled. Markets buzzed with reunion rumors. But as I walked home, envelope heavy in my pocket, I wondered, was this redemption? Or just round two? Autumn painted Seattle in rust and gold, leaves clogging gutters like unresolved grudges. The joint therapy kicked off in a Belltown loft, neutral turf. Reclaimed brick and therapist named Dr. Ellis. A silver-haired sage with a voice like warm brioche. First session. Echo and I sat rigid as baguettes. Knees not quite touching. Start with gratitudes, Ellis prompted. I went first, grateful for the silence after the storm. And the bread that outlasted it. Echo, grateful you're still here. Even after. Bullshit. Mostly. But we showed, weekly. Rain or shine. Ellis peeled layers. Echo's terror of failure. Rooted in Dad's golden child pedestal, my rage as armor over abandonment ache. Breakthroughs trickled. Her admitting the frame was desperation. Not malice. Me confessing I'd toyed with spiking her supply chain. Fantasies of sabotage that mirrored her sins. We're mirrors, she said one drizzly Tuesday. Fog pressing the windows. Cracked, but reflecting the same light. I nodded, thawing despite myself. Rise and ruin absorb her cafe seamlessly, rebranded Echo's Echo, a nod to second chances. With her recipes revived under my roof. Profit soared. We co-hosted workshops. Twins in aprons. Laughing for the cameras. Public ate it up. From feud to flower power, gushed Bon Appetit. Investors courted the Hayes Harmony brand. National rollout whispers. Jax rolled his eyes. Don't buy the honeymoon phase.
Ser.
She's a shapeshifter. He wasn't wrong. Echo's flips resumed subtly. Suggestions on my menus that steamrolled into mandates. Her fiancé's rebound, a venture capitalist named Trent, lurking at meetings. Eyes on equity. Family discount, she'd quip. But the contracts crept closer to control. Winter crept in with Yuletide cheer and creeping dread. Our reconciliation. Roast at Rise and Ruin packed the house. Eggnog lattes. Carolers crooning, "Oh Christmas Tree," amid twinkling garlands.
EcoMCD.
Radiant in velvet. Toasting to dough and blood. Thicker than thieves. Midway, Trent pulled me aside. Breath boozy. Smart play. Merging. But Echo's got vision. You're the heart. She's the head. Sign here. Lock it in. The doc. A 51% stake transfer. Buried in fine print. I palmed it, feigning a smile, and later shredded it with Rosa over whiskey sours. She's reeling you in. Line and sinker. Doubt doubled down when Mom's full journal surfaced, courtesy of Aunt Lila. Purging the family attic. The pages chronicled Echo's spirals, bulimia in college, covered by my alibis, a hit-and run at 19, fudged police report with my forged witness statement. I'd borne it all. The invisible Atlas, propping her pedestal while she climbed. Serenity. My martyr, Mom wrote. Echoes the blade, you're the sheath. When will you draw blood? Reading it alone. Oven roaring. I wept. First time since the pen. Was forgiveness folly? Or the only rise worth the proof? Echo sensed the shift. Ambush me post-shift. Snow dusting her boots. The journals? Lila's meddling. Defensive. Then dissolving. I know I'm poison.
Ser.
But we're clean now. Right? Her hand on mine, cold, clammy. I pulled away. Clean? Or just pausing the pour? That night, Trent's texts pinged, veiled threats about exposing old debts. The frame job, twisted anew. Climax cracked open on New Year's Eve. The city a fireworks frenzy. We'd planned a blowout at the merge spot, midnight countdown, champagne sabered with a bread knife. Crowds swelled. Locals. Bloggers. Even a celeb chef from Portland. Echo and I flanked the bar. Aprons monogrammed Asani unbroken. As Big Ben bonged Seattle style. With fairy horns. Trent burst in, drunk. Disheveled. Waving a USB like a grenade. Ladies and germs. Time for truths. He plugged it into the POS screen. Hijacking the feed to every TV. Grainy footage. Me in prison yard. Ranting to that bunkmate about framing Echo back if I get out. Followed by audio, her assistant's tip call. But edited to sound like my orchestration. The room hushed. Then erupted. Gasps. Phones whipping out. Is this real? Murmurs. Echo paled. Mouthing Trent, to me. He slurred. She played you both. Serenity's the snake. Chaos cascaded. A bar fight sparked. Jax decking a heckler, glass shattering like illusions. I grabbed the USB, yanking it free, but damage done. Echo flipped mid-mayhem, shoving Trent. You idiot! We were done. He swung wild. She dodged, heels snapping his wrist. Cops swarmed.
Nye bluss under konfettisnow.
In the melee, our eyes locked, hers pleading.
Mine probing.
Ally or architect. Station house reeked of stale Joe and regret. Rosa bailed us out by dawn. Trent charged with assault and fraud. Turns out, he'd forged the edits for a hostile takeover. Echo and I rode home in silence, cab weaving through hungover streets. He was the con, she whispered. Not me. Believe. I stared at the passing lights. Pike's neon blurring. One more flip. Echo. And I walk for good. Spring 2026 bloomed, tentative. Trent's trial exposed his grift, embezzling from her ops. Using our feud as cover. Echo testified raw. Owning her sins in open court. I betrayed my twin. But redemption's not a solo bake. Juries sympathized. She walked with probation.
Me?
Subpoenaed as aggrieved party. I spun it straight. We're baking through the burns. Media lapped it. Twins triumph over treachery. But the real twist simmered private. Post-trial. Echo handed over the final ledger. Dad's original cooks. Her inheritance tainted. Yours now. Clean it. Or torch it.
Eat shows 4, literal.
In a beach bonfire at Golden Gardens. Waves lapping like absolutions. She joined. Marshmallows charring on sticks. To ashes, we toasted. Laughter cracked the night, genuine, ghostly. Yet, as embers died, She confessed the deepest cut. Mom's cancer? Accelerated by stress from Echo's debts. Hidden from me to protect my dreams. I killed her.
Ser.
Indirectly. Sobs racked her. I held, hating the pole. Forgiveness? Or fool's gluten. Rise and ruin, now haze harvest. Plural, thrived unchallenged. But the bond? Fractured forever. A loaf with a hidden air pocket. Readers, you judge. Mercy or mirage. Summer scorched Seattle uncharacteristically. Heat waves warping the asphalt like overworked dough. Haze harvest pulsed with life. Outdoor ovens firing flatbreads for food truck rallies. Pop-ups in Discovery Park drawing yoga moms and tech bros alike. Echo and I commingled. Her marketing savvy juicing my artisan soul. Viral reels of us twin-tossing pizza peels. Tagline doubled trouble. Unified taste. Revenue crested 8 figures. We inked a deal with Whole Foods. Shelves soon stocked with our Harmony Hearth line. Jax managed the lounge. His events a riot of queer bake-offs and spoken-word slams. You're glowing, Sare, he'd say, winking. Don't let her dim it. But glows flicker. Echo's probation chafed. Random checks. Community service at a women's shelter where she taught baking to ex-cons. Irony thick as frosting. She'd vent post-shift. These women. They remind me of you in there. Resilient. Flattery? Or flip to fragility? Trent's shadow lingered too, from county lockup. He smuggled letters, rants accusing her of seducing him into crime. Me of witching the family. Rosa quashed the harassment suit, but paranoia proofed in us both. August brought the bid. A Silicon Valley conglomerate. NourishNet, sniffing expansion. Lead exec. A slick ander from Palo Alto. Wind us at canless views of the sound. Steaks seared rare. Your story's gold, he schmoozed.
Autêntica Americana, Hags.
Rivalry. Redemption. We'll scale you national. Numbers dazzled. 9 figures up front. Equity in their portfolio. Echo's eyes lit like fresh glaze, mine narrowed. Scale means standardize. Our souls in the handmaid. She squeezed my knee under the table. Think big.
Sis.
For us. Backroom haggling ensued, lawyers layering clauses like laminations. Echo pushed hard. Sign.
Ser.
This erases everything. Her flip to visionary. Steamrolling doubts. I countered with vetoes. No automation. Local sourcing mandates.
Onderkenschiet.
But slipped in a morality clause any scandal resurgence, and poof. Contract void. Insurance, he smiled. Echo signed first. Pen flourish like a signature sent. Then the leak. September equinox. A podcast dropped the Haze heist, unbaked lies, episodes dissecting the frame with anonymous sources. Trent cellmate. Spinning yarns of my mastermind grudge.
Audio snippets, Dr. Jailhouse Confessions.
Echo's charity spun as laundering. Stock dipped. NourishNet lawyer circled. Clause invoked. Pending investigation, their email read. Echo raged. It's him. From inside. But her alibi cracked. Late-night calls to his lawyer. Settlement talks. Confrontation exploded in the fermentation room. Jars bubbling like accusations. You fed him crumbs. Echo?
To kneecap me.
She denied. Then dissolved. I was scared. The deal, our future, flipped to victim. Tears strategic. You always win the sympathy. The pure one. I slammed a tray. Croissants scattering like shrapnel.
Pure?
I did your time. Now this. She lunged. Not violent but visceral. Hug crushing. Whispers frantic. Fix it with me.
Leak the real files.
End him. Temptation tempted. But Jax intervened, hauling her out. Poison's a two-way street. Love. Alone. I sifted the wreckage. Was it sabotage? Or her subconscious sabotage self-destruct to drag me down? Mom's words echoed. She's the storm.
I choses storm chasing.
Not surrender. Rosa rallied. Countersuit against the podcaster. Injunction on Trent's comms. Evidence mounted. Echo's calls were emotional vents, not collusions. Narration blinked. Deal revived with addendums. But the scar suppurated. Public fractured anew. Hayes hustle trended. Forums forking into Echo enabler versus
Serenity 5 ans.
Aunts boycotted our stands. Uncles invested quietly. Echo withdrew. Holing up in the McMansion. Therapy skipped. Her texts. Sorry. Again.
I baked solo.
Recipes evolving. Bitter chocolate tarts laced with chilly heat. Embodying the burn. October's Harvest Fest was our Hail Mary. Mega pop-up in Fremont. Hay bales and pumpkin spice overload. We manned it twins together. Aprons synced. Forcing the facade. Crowds came. Tentative then torrent. Autographs on loaves. Selfies sealing the myth. Ander toasted on stage. To unbreakable bonds.
Off mic.
He murmured to me, she's volatile. Cut her loose post-deal. Poisonous advice. Or prudent. Nightcap at the original Rise and Ruin. Just us three, me. Echo.
Jax.
Whiskey neat. Fire crackling in the portable pit. She broke first. I called him. Once. To beg off.
But.
Part of me wanted the chaos. To feel alive. Confession raw. Unvarnished. You're the steady.
Ser.
I'm the shatter. No flip, just fracture admitted. Jack softened. We're all cracked crocs. I poured refills. Throat tight. Then we mend. Or we mill to dust. The twist twisted deeper at dawn. Trent escaped minimum security breach. Headlines howling. Bounty hunters on TV. Sketches circulating. Panic-proofed. Echo barricaded. Me arming the shop with pepper spray. But he didn't come raging, he came crawling. Midnight knock. Gaunt and gibbering at the back door. Serenity. She promised. Echo. Frozen beside me. His tale. Her visits to the jail. Whispers of one last score. Framing me anew to void the deal. Her reclaiming solo control. Proof? A burner phone log. Texts in her code. Her face crumpled, not denial, but devastation. I fantasized. Never acted. But the seed sown. Trust tainted. Irrevocable. Trent lunged for the phone. Jax tasered him. Black market. Don't ask. Cops hauled him. But the damage doed. Echo fled to the loft. Catatonic. I stared at the logs. Heart heavy as wet wheat. Villain or victim? Her storm had summoned lightning, mine.
Harvest Fest hangover.
The deal dissolved. NourishNet cited instability. We were back to basics, local, lean, but lovers lost. Echo checked into rehab. For the patterns, letters arrived. Forgive the unforgivable, or free us both. I burned the logs. Ashes to wind. Bakery thrived on the edge, raw.
Real. But the bond?
A ghost loaf. Risen then fallen. You pick the punchline. Grace or goodbye. November's gray veil descended, Seattle shrugging into wool, and what-ifs. Hayes harvest hunkered. Sails steady but scarred, no national glow. Just neighborhood hearths. Jax stepped up as co-head, his flair filling Echo's void. Serenity and Jax, the odd loaf-out branding. Events skewing eclectic, bread-making raves with DJ drops synced to oven timers. I dove deeper into the craft, experimenting with foraged grains from Olympic hikes, loaves that tasted of pine and perseverance. Therapy solo now. Ellis probing. Revenge resolved? Or rekindled? I shrugged. It's in the rest. Not rise, but repose. Echo's rehab stint stretched, letters weekly, penned in loopy script like uncertain icing. Day 47. Cracked the why, fear of eclipsing you. So I dimmed us both. Vulnerable.
No barniz.
I replied sporadically. Recipes enclosed. Try this walnut rye. Tough shell. Tender heart. Rehab folklore filtered back. Group shares where she owned the frame. The flips. The fiscal filch. My sister's mercy saved me, she'd say. Mercy? Or malaise? Trent's recapture made splashy news. Fugitive foiled in a Tacoma motel. Hoarding our merch like talismans. His plea? Echo's ghosting drove him mad. Court TV dissected, psychologists dubbing it erotomania, her charisma a curse. She testified remotely. Voice steady via screen. I take responsibility. For the spark. Sentence, 15 to life. Her victim impact statement sealed with heel. Don't hate. Media mythologized her as martyr mogul. But I saw the slight, subtle spin to spotlight. December dawned with a deluge. Streets flooding like flooded feelings. Aunt Lila hosted the family summit, neutral ground, her queen and Victorian strung with neutralites. Kin convened, grizzled uncles nursing IPAs. Aunts clutching rosaries and grudges. Echo arrived last. Post-discharge. Gaunt but grounded in cashmere. Hugs awkward as overhandled dough, small talk stiff. Then the circle. Truths aired like rising gases. Dad's ghost presided, his old pipe on the mantel. Relic of regrets. Uncle's grilled Echo. You hung her out to dry? Girl. She nodded. No deflection. Worse, I let her swing. Aunts turned to me. And you? Poisoned the well with payback. I met their eyes. Paid back what's mine. But the cost? A silence stretched. Judgments unspoken. Jax lightened. Passed the pie. Serenity's cranberry. Tart as truth. Laughter cracked. Ice thawing. Echo pulled me aside post-feast. Balcony overlooking twinkling Elliott Bay. Rain pattered like hesitant applause. I'm staying clean. Starting small, a pop-up. My name off it. Humble. Or hedge. And us? I asked. She gripped the rail. Knuckles pale. Sisters. Not Siamese. You lead. I follow for once. The flip finale. From throne to shadow. Genuine or gambit. New Year's beckoned. City primed for purge. We co-hosted a low-key bash at Harvest, no fireworks. Just fire pits and folk tunes. Bread broken communally. Echo manned the hearth. Toasting slices with stories. This one's for the falls. Trent's face flashed on a distant news ticker. But we muted it.
Jacques spun vinyl.
Vinyl scratching like scars healing. The ultimate twist unfurled in January frost. A package at the door. Unmarked. Inside. Mom's locket.
Twin halv, hersen grave storm here.
Note in Echo's hand. Wore it through rehab. Realized the storm needs the hearth to rage right. Or it floods everything. Yours if you want reunion. Or keep half, let go the whole. Enclosed, her final flip, deeding full ops to me. Clean slate.
No strines.
Rise without ruin.
Love. E.
I clasped it, metal warm as memory. Half to Jax, co-captain. He grinned. Loaf it to me. Echo's pop-up launched in February. Echo's Ember, a tiny shack in Ballard. Embers of her empire. No merge. Just mutual nods across the miles. She thrives quiet. I roar steady. Family men's mosaic. Dinner's tentative. But attended. Ending? No tidy bow. Thriving? Yes, bakery a bastion. Dreams dusted but defiant. Sister watches. Not with envy but echo, distant harmony. Controversial? Damn right. Was her betrayal born of love's warp? Mine of justice's twist? Right? Wrong, it's all relative as rye. In America's grind of reinvention, maybe the real revenge is release. Or recurrence. You debated over coffee.
Me?
I'll be in the back, kneading tomorrow's loaf.